Welcome. How is everyone doing? There's a lot. I'm seeing it's like a lot moving under the surface, a lot shifting within us. And why does it feel like we are living between realities? Why does it feel as if we are between an old chapter of life and the new that is about to unfold? That is unfolding, I should say. Between who we were and who we've become, between a world that is crumbling and what it is evolving into. And this feeling of being between realities, where some days I feel like I'm over here in this reality, and then other days I'm back in this reality, and some days there's moments where I'm in between, juggling both, as if we are living in two worlds at the same time. And what I'm seeing now is this image of like we're being pushed. Like before, I've spoken on this a lot about straddling or being the bridge between worlds, right? And we're being pushed. We're being gently guided into this next era, into this new world that we're creating, right? That's unfolding, that we're feeling resonant with. And this is how you know that you're in between worlds, right? It's like the new world that we're stepping into, the new ways of being, feels resonant. It feels true. It feels aligned, right? And how do I put those words into, like, how do you explain that feeling of being aligned, right? Because that's such a complex thing, right? And alignment doesn't always mean feeling good. Alignment sometimes can be an experience that is, in essence, happening for you and shaping you and molding you, even though it may not feel good at the time. But in truth, like, how do we know when things are in resonance? Because it feels true, because it feels authentic, because it feels like yes, right? I saw this post by Rebecca Campbell this morning, and she said, you know that things feel in resonance because it feels like a chord, like a sound on a singing bowl. When it hits you, it's like, it's this knowing, right? This feels true. This feels true. Yes. And you'll know what we're stepping out of, and this old reality, it feels uncomfortable. It feels untrue. It feels like an old version of ourselves, right? That reality that just doesn't fit anymore. That maybe at a certain time in our life it fit, yes. Maybe at a certain time in our life, yes, it was perfect. Just what we needed. Aligned with who we were, you know what I mean? But we are always expanding and growing, right? I just think about, like, I think we're hard on ourselves when we outgrow things, when in truth, like, what a gift. Wow, how amazing that you are outgrowing aspects of your life. Why does our culture frown upon people making shifts and change and evolving and growing? Not that it frowns upon it, but it almost, like, I think can scare people. It can scare because it goes against the grain. It goes against conformity. It almost is like, with expansion, right? It's like, when you expand, of course, you're going to outgrow your environment. Of course, you're going to outgrow things that you like to do, ways of relating, friends you may have hung out with. And I know that I've been speaking on this for so long, But why does it feel that we are between realities? It's because we are. It's like a computer. It's almost like we've been upgraded in our operating system, but we're still operating on a really old computer. And it can't hold the new operating system. That's exactly what it feels like. That's like the best analogy for this experience. And I just want to say, so many of us are moving through this because what's happened is so many of us have expanded so immensely within, right? We've spent years uncovering who we are. We've spent years healing, processing. We've spent years like remembering. We've spent years. And now it's like, okay, we've moved through that evolution, right? We've moved through that experience, but now it's like we no longer fit in with the 3D reality that our lives were maybe still in, right? So you may be feeling very expanded within. You might be feeling a lot of life force moving through your body. You might be feeling very creative. Feelings of wanting to be, wanting to create, wanting to explore, wanting to travel, wanting to try new things, right? Meanwhile, you may still be in like this old job that may not feel true anymore. You may be in old relationships. You may be in an old city that you live in, right? We are in between, and I think that it's easy to get caught up in the how. Like, all right, this is who I am now. Maybe these parts of my life are wanting to shed and fall away. But the new hasn't quite landed. It's being birthed right now. Each day that we wake up and we choose, each day that we wake up and we allow the space in our life, each day that we wake up and we choose trust over fear, each day that we wake up and we choose the new way of being versus the old, right? We release the pressure. Each day, I just keep hearing that we trust, that we trust, that we trust these feelings that are wanting to come through, these things that we're wanting to create. That we take one step at a time. We are building that. We are creating that. We have been conditioned from the youngest age to have everything figured out and know exactly how to get there. When they ask you what you want to be when you grow up, when you're literally 6 years old, I can tell you when I'm 6 all the things I love to do. I can tell you when I'm 6 all the things that I would imagine I would like to do. But that is the old way. We are not creating that way anymore. Now we are creating entirely different. And there is a beauty to the unfoldment. There is a level of surprise in creation that our souls came here to experience. And we are moving, literally shifting the way that we are creating, because we can no longer be in the old world. We can no longer be in those denser realities. And if we're talking really tangible experiences here about what that feels like, waking up every day feeling like a creator, feeling like having all these creative ideas, and then feeling a little bit limited by, okay, if you have to go to a job and work 8 hours a day in an environment that no longer feels resonant with ways of being, right? Like, you must complete this many tasks in this amount of time and do it this quickly and be this productive, and the productivity of 3 people in one. And then but your consciousness is not resonating. Your consciousness has expanded beyond those limitations, because that's what that is. That's a limitation. Right? So it's like, that's one tangible example of how You feel, but I don't operate that way anymore. Now I know that I don't have to rush, that I don't have to force, that I don't have to be so productive that I burn out, that I'm in fight or flight. And now I'm having the awareness of this experience, that this reality is creating this experience for me. So now how do I then observe this and understand this and decide to create new? And trust and know that there actually is a different and better way. But how do we create the different and better way when the 3D reality is still operating as usual? And that is one of the complexities of our time. And I think that even when I heard, though, it's not that complex, it's actually more simple. They're wanting us to take the pressure off. They're wanting us to take the pressure off that we need to have this all figured out. That pressure, just take it off. Take it off. I took a lot of notes. On this topic. Yeah, it feels like we're straddling between two worlds, and it can feel like we're walking through the unknown. There are some days where you may be experiencing miracles, and then other days where you may feel like you're in the density of old ways of being. You may feel like the presence and beauty of life, and then talk to someone else who is in the experience and reality of lack and limitation and fear. And it's not to say that we don't experience these things, right? Like, I'm seeing it like very cyclical. Like, we're constantly in this state of being. Like, once your awareness expands, you become this observer. So it's not like we arrive somewhere and we become this perfect person who no longer experiences lack and limitation. But now we have the conscious awareness to then, when it's happening, we're like, oh, I'm doing that again. Wait, that's not true. Why do I keep doing that? Oh, because I'm like a computer operating system. And these beliefs and patterns have been on repeat my entire life. A lot of them are not even our own. And so that is why our conscious awareness is so incredible. Consciousness is so incredible, and it knows no bounds. Consciousness knows no bounds. And the range of consciousness is, there are people in an entire range. There are beings in an entire range. There are plants and animals. Like, the range of consciousness within and all around us is so expansive, we cannot even imagine it. So, yeah. It really is this feeling of trying to fit this very expansive self that we are, that you are, right, into a small box. Like like who we're becoming and who we've become, we can no longer fit in that box. I don't even want to say we need to upgrade to a bigger box, because we can't continue to box ourselves in. And I really feel, a lot of people are going to start pivoting. A lot of people, even if they, it's like, even if someone hasn't been through a big awakening experience in their life, right? A lot of people are going to start asking themselves these questions and noticing these things and seeing the things that aren't working anymore and feeling those inner pulls and calls and soul calls, right? That there's got to be a better way, and I can't keep living like this, and really understanding what matters most in life. And those feelings are often the seed of many people's awakenings, right? And a lot of us, I just keep hearing, a lot of us almost like graduated early. It's not that, see, this evolution in consciousness, it happens in waves. I remember I used to ask I used to ask all the time, why can't this just happen to everyone at the same time and we can just evolve and move on? And I always hear, well, that would be chaos. That might look like chaos, right? That might be too much at once. That's like, I mean, it is happening to everyone at the same time, right? To varying degrees, but we have to understand that this process happens in waves, and some people graduate early and the next group graduates and the next group graduates, and so on, right? There's people that graduated years before us, and then maybe it's our turn, and then years after, right? And it's like this very fluid, evolving experience. Understanding that this new world is still being formed. That's huge. That the dissolving is still happening. The dissolving is still happening collectively within a lot of people, within us. The dissolving is still happening, right? This releasing while becoming at the exact same time. So, what do we do with this, right? Like, if you feel as if you're between two realities, right? And maybe that's the truth, right? That is the truth. I mean, think about it. Think about it. We are still in between worlds as a whole. But what do we do in order to take steps in our life to bridge that gap? And I meditate on this a lot, right? I think when we think about where we are and where we wish we could be, that is a tricky place to be. It's one thing to have goals and dreams. Oh, yes, that's very important and beautiful. And it's another thing to feel incomplete or less than, or that I will be happy when I get there, right? There's that. And you're never going to be, right? You're always going to be seeking and searching and wanting. So I think it's really important, while we understand that, yes, we are navigating this threshold of who we've been and who we're becoming, as we're in between the old world and the new world. The new world is being created by us, right? And the more present that we can be right now, the better. Because the new world is experienced in this present moment. And it's being birthed through us. So the more that we can get out of our head, when you start looping, that's how you know you're in your head. And I just, again, having the awareness to observe that and see that, and then be like, all right, hold on, I'm doing it again. Wait a second. Oh, yes. I do know that when I'm present, that feels really true. That feels really good. That feels really true. When I slow down, when I create the space to be, and when I trust that I am going exactly where I'm meant to go, and each step along the way is exactly where I'm meant to be. Right? And not to bypass our experience, not to say that what we're going through, if you're going through something like difficult, if you're going through something traumatic, I'm not saying to bypass that experience. If you need to get out of a situation for your safety, you have to get out, right? But in many times we are exactly where we're meant to be. And even myself, as someone who has experienced a lot of trauma, someone who has experienced a lot of initiations, I look back and I'm like, oh, I see how that was happening for me. I see how that was molding me into the woman that I am today. And now I have this trust, this muscle of trust that is so strong, right? It's almost like these experiences are what creates an embodied leader, an embodied person, right? An embodied soul in this reality to become the creators that we are, to be the creators that we are, right? So presence is big, like noticing when we are almost so far in the future and wanting to be so far in the future, and kind of coming back here and being like, okay, well, then what is one thing that I can do today in this present moment to bring me closer to those dreams and goals that I have? And how do I enjoy the journey along the way and really be present in this moment? Because it's interesting, the more present that we are in this moment, the quicker and more aligned that unfolds for us, that future timeline unfolds for us. So yeah, I think having this notion of having it all figured out, noticing when that arises, and understanding that we're moving away from that and we're moving into this consciousness of one step at a time. I'm hearing, like, if only you could see and understand how, if you try to consciously create how things will go in your mind and write the story fully yourself, it's often not nearly as expansive and soul fulfilling as when we create the space to allow ourselves to be surprised. It's a balance of both, right? It's a balance of both, having our foundations, taking action, but then also creating space to be surprised, creating space for the unfoldment. It's very important. Less is more, right? Less is more. I think that when we are in between realities, it can feel like wanting to fill the space of things that we can tangibly grab onto, that make us feel like we're doing something, that make us feel like we're moving the needle, that make us feel like we're in this this world that we are bridging more often. But less is more. Really. Less is more, because think about it. That's what creates clarity. That spaciousness, creating the space, right? Not filling our schedules, not doing more. That's the old way. That is the old way. And the new ways of creating, they're more easeful. They're more impactful. And it's less doing. Yes, they're still doing, but it's less thinking you need to work hard, super hard, and do. And it's more of this, like, aligning ourselves to the frequency of who we are, of what we're creating, of what we're calling in. And it's also like, you think about it, if you're a creative person, and you know those moments where you have writer's block, or maybe like your mind goes blank and you're trying to force a creative outcome, or force a painting, or force whatever it is that you're creating. 9 times out of 10, when you put the pen down and you walk away and you go for a walk, or you do things that have nothing to do with what you're trying to create, that's when the ideas come in. That's when the insights and the downloads come through. And that is a good metaphor for how we are now creating in this new world, these new realities, these new frequencies. Less forcing, right? Put the pen down and walk away and trust the clarity will come, right? So I think about that when I'm making choices and like creating and building this new life that works for us, right? It's like, put the pen down and trust that clarity will come. And sometimes things take time. Sometimes we get those feelings and those visions and those knowings months, even years in advance. It's like our soul is preparing us for this next stage, right? And I wrote down rushing versus patience, right? Rushing versus patience. Rushing is often a sign that we are in resistance, that we are not in trust, right? I mean, I understand rushing in the sense of like rushing to make an appointment on time. Like, that's different. I'm talking about rushing in order to create things in your life. That feeling of rushing, like I need to fix this. I need to make this different. I need to, right? And it's like that there is a level of discomfort, and that's often my cue. It's often my cue as we learn to create in these new realities. Again, put the pen down, take a second and walk away. And that, again, 9 times out of 10 always brings clarity. Right? And understanding that we are all figuring this out. Like, you're going to have days, I know for myself, I have days where I feel super in my heart, super grateful, super present, super trusting in life, and just like this all-knowing feeling in my spirit and soul. And then there's other days where I question it all. What am I doing? What have I done to my life? Where am I going? How do I know it's all going to work out? And that's okay. I think we need to not be so hard on ourselves, right? It's okay. But I think it's more of this having the understanding of when we are in those states of being or states of mind. Is this a story? Is this a fear? Is this true? Right? And really holistically look around. Look around. Look at everything you've created up until this point. Look at everything you become. A lot of who we are is not shown on this. I mean, it is shown through our energy, through our personality, through our heart, through our presence, right? But a lot of our biggest accomplishments in life, our greatest milestones, are the things that people will never see. The things between you and God. The things between you and your soul. The things between you and your family or your best friend. Those are the things that we came here for. And so it's like, I think sometimes it just makes me emotional, because I think we can sometimes, when we feel between realities, we can feel a little bit like scrambling, like where should I go? What do I do? Why am I not where I want to be? What's going on? I feel this way inside, but my outer world sometimes is not reflecting the way I feel. And knowing, wow, look at everything I've become so far, everything I've experienced. And it is happening. I pulled 2 cards. I pulled 2 cards before this call, and they were just so spot on. The first card, it says the bud. And it says potential, it's happening, keep going. And then the second card, the second bloom. And this one, I have chills. It says second chance, new possibilities. This is the new era. This is our new chapter. This is the new us. Second chance, new possibilities. This doesn't even feel like new chapter in life. This feels like we are writing a completely different story. You guys, we are writing a completely different story, and I've been saying this, that everything is about to change, and I feel like just keep trusting that knowing, keep trusting, because a lot of us are early. A lot of us have graduated early, and our lives are going to start shifting and changing to match the frequency and the evolving that we've done within. But it also doesn't come without us trusting, us taking that action when we feel called, us being present, right? Us not going back and conforming with those old ways of being, right? Like we've graduated. So it's time. This second bloom. And I just heard, like, for a lot of us, a lot of people are going to be pivoting, big life changes. And it doesn't even have to be a big life change. It's often those small changes every day that we make that make huge incremental strides over time. Huge. Those small daily acts. That's what I focus on. What can I do today? How can I pour into my cup? Right? And then, because I know that when I pour into my cup, it overflows into others around me, into spaces around me, into things like this. When I fill my cup, I'm able to show up here and speak and share and hopefully help another person that is going through a similar experience. Whew. So if you feel you're between realities, it's because we are. And the clarity is coming. And it's that second bloom is here. That next story is here, and it's literally being written. Loving you all.